Our next speaker will be Senator Bob Hall, and we want to applaud these great legislators for making strong bills to protect Texans. So, with no further ado, here's Senator Hall.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we have too many elected officials who seem to have forgotten that the primary purpose of government is to protect individual liberty. Many individuals across our state and nation are facing a devastating choice, whether to take a vaccine they do not want or leave their jobs, forfeiting their means to provide financially for themselves and their families. People who do not understand the true role of government argue that it's not the appropriate role of government to regulate business. But the truth is, government regulates businesses all the time at both the state and the federal level. Indeed, during the regular session of the 87th legislators, members voted on dozens of bills to regulate businesses. However, no modern-day American regulation has ever required a person to undergo a high-risk, irreversible, possible life-changing, and life-threatening medical procedure just to be able to feed their family. There is a growing push for mandated vaccines for COVID-19. My office has heard from many people throughout Texas who are being required to get the COVID vaccine in order to keep their job. The protection and deregulation of business is something we discuss often. It is my goal, or any legislator's goal, to invade upon private businesses. However, the chief responsibility and constitutional role of our government is to protect the rights of the individual. Let me say that again. The chief responsibility of us in government is to protect individual liberties, period. Government has issued thousands of laws, rules, and regulations to businesses, many of which serve to protect individual liberty. Government regulation of business to protect individual rights is not a new concept. Employees can take off their helmets, take off masks and uniforms at the end of the workday. They cannot remove a vaccine. And it is not the right to treat unvaccinated individuals as if they are sick or as if the choice they have made is morally wrong. No one in our society should be hindered from participating in business, school, or government just because they have made the very personal decision not to receive a particular vaccine, especially a vaccine that does not keep you from getting the virus. It is also wrong to ignore the well-established fact that natural immunity is far greater and longer lasting than the unnatural immunity from a high-risk vaccine. The mere fact that a person has not received a specific vaccine or vaccine does not make them a threat to others. It is also wrong to ignore the well-established fact that natural immunity is far greater and longer lasting. As of September 24th, the FDA's Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, or VAERS, contained almost 16,000 cases in which COVID-19 resulted in the patient's death. And it contains almost 800,000 cases of serious adverse reactions. Recently, a whistleblower provided some CMS data, that's the Medicare information, showing that well over 45,000 Medicaid recipients this year have died within 14 days of receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. To provide some perspective, in 1976, 45 million were vaccinated for swine flu. A mere 53 people died, and the program was immediately terminated and the vaccine taken off the market. The National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986 shields vaccine manufacturers from liability. If a business requires you to take the vaccine, all the risk, physically and financially, is on you personally. The business has no responsibility if you have a mild adverse reaction, a lifelong disability, or even die. No one but you carries all that risk. The pharmaceutical companies and medical personnel have absolutely total immunity from anything that happens to you. You and your family will carry the burden of the cost and the physical changes, no matter what it may be. We're already having insurance companies refusing to cover anything that's COVID-19 related, and it's going to get worse. The the nations of Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and Norway have limited the use of the Moderna vaccine on young men due to the risk of heart inflammation? How much longer are the people in America going to allow government and the media to continue hiding the adverse risk of these vaccines? It is well past time for Texas to lead the fight against vaccine mandates and discrimination. Our state has a tradition of being a safe haven for people to exercise their rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is time for us to be a leading example for the rest of the nation on vaccine mandates. During the session, I filed several bills. I have 5 that are being filed right now that could be passed in this session or the next one. Vaccine mandates do not stem from science, especially since they don't allow room for those with natural immunity to the sickness. Vaccine mandates are about control, whether they come from the government or forces in the private sector such as employers. Vaccine mandates are not about health, they are about control. Let us never forget that the primary purpose of our American form of constitutional republic is to first protect individual liberty from both business and government. We must stop the mandatory vaccines. Thank you.